wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money. It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
Yo, everyone. I am back. It's good to be back. Oh, get these guys out of here. Where am I? It's good to be back. It was a great trip. It was good to kind of see people. It was good to hang out a little bit. It was good to, have a great time with everyone and kind of talk about what's going on in the markets, what people are seeing out there. For some reason, won't let me remove these people. I guess I'm not powerful enough. That's okay. Spotlight. Oh, I can spotlight myself though. Look at that. Yeah, so I know the stream's been a little bit choppy, right? It's been a little bit. We tried to stream really, really hard at the event. It's just event Wi-Fi is just an absolute nightmare, and then we tried to bring in those hotspot things to stream from, and you're in like a giant room with no windows and tons of people around, so I guess the internet doesn't like that either. So there was all this stuff going on trying to get us up and running and going, and we just weren't able to do that. But we recorded everything. They had a videographer, I think it's called, that was on site. Was amazing. So we got all kinds of recordings for you. So even though we couldn't stream a lot of what we wanted to live, don't you guys worry. We have all of that. So you'll see that kind of slowly leak out in the channel. We'll talk about it on stream. It was a really cool time. Again, I did a speech up there on, in person on a stage and all that. So they recorded that. And I had, my own microphone for just you guys. So we got that sorted. We did a little competition live where we found this group of university students, which was super fun. And had them kind of line up and do like a speed trade-off using like 5 minute. You can only trade for 5 minutes. And I had a lot of people who had never traded before. Just, I said, hey, if it's green, buy it. If it's red, sell it. And that was a lot of fun as well. So that's really cool. Now, Mitch, he got the conference plague. And anyone who's ever had to go to conferences for their jobs knows exactly what I'm talking about. You get in a little tube with a whole bunch of other people and you get shot through the sky in that tube where you're just all breathing each other's airs for hours and hours and hours, and then you land and you shake like 500 people's hands, and then you get stuck back in a tube and they shoot you back the other way. So it is my day is probably coming. It's probably coming soon. It's just the way it works. You go to one of these conferences, you get sick. So no Mitch today. I might have a Kevin pop by a little bit later. It was great to meet him and Josh and everyone in person. It was really, really cool. So that is what happened. Is again, we tried to keep the stream kind of consistent, but don't worry, everybody's back. I personally am not going anywhere, I know, until the end of the year. So we are back in action. We are back as normal. It will be the same streams that everybody is used to, everyone's looking forward to. And then without further ado, let's just where my thing? NASA event. No, this one, right? Bam, let's just pop into it there. And let's kind of figure out what happened. So as always, I'm going to go to the ES. I'm going to take it off. Again, this is what my charts look like when no one's looking, but there's a lot of people out there who just don't like that. So we'll go here and take a look at this. This is what my charts look like when people are looking, and just kind of talk about what happened, because I've been away for a while. It's Tuesday, I think, the last time I seen you guys. So we obviously had, the China nonsense, and my whole, if you guys follow me on Twitter, if not, again, I'm Michael Noss, CMT everywhere. But my whole idea was that, look at all these, as long as we are inside this bar, this main bar right here, everything else that happens is just nonsense. And we're still in there, right? So although we look good here, I don't really trust much of the rallies here, just because I don't really trust much of the sell-offs here. If anything, if I have to take a bet, it's going to be in the direction of the underlying trend, which is obviously been higher since April. You don't need to be a CMT for that. So if I had to bet, I'd bet we are going up But again, we are inside this bar. And the reason is that you had this massive news event. It shocked everyone. It wasn't too bad in the equity space, but it was really bad in the crypto space. A lot of people got really blown up. So when you have a big shock like that, you generally have a lot of people gun shy, right? Especially from the bullish side. A lot of people are like, "Oh, is this thing going to happen again? Is there, should I get involved here, even if it's just going to kind of all fall apart in a second?" And yeah, it's this kind of action that's taken place here. It becomes very hard to kind of get people back interested and back involved and ready to go. So we're gonna kind of do the same thing where I've marked the high of this candle and I've marked the low of this candle. And for me, for sustained moves, kind of wake me up when we close, not just tick, but we close either above that candle or below that candle, right? In the middle, we'll just kind of chop around. James saying, do you think there'll be a sell-off because of the Amazon outage? Well, I would say if this is my whole synopsis on news, is if I know there is an Amazon outage and there is an Amazon outage, then everybody already knows there's an Amazon outage and it's priced into the stock, right? If there was going to be a massive sell-off because there was an Amazon outage, we would see it, right? That's my whole theory on news, is that the moment the news is out, everybody knows about it, and it no longer gives us any value in kind of predicting future price movements. Right? It's not a surprise to anyone anymore, right? We had an Amazon outage. Not even Amazon seems to care that there's an Amazon outage. It's actually up 0.5% in the pre-market. Right? So if there was going to be anything that was a problem because of an Amazon outage, then you would see that in the price action, right? So you had a little sell off early while bots and algos reacted to things, and now it's right back up, and then it's up a little bit from yesterday's close. So that's my theory, is that if we were going to see some reaction, we would have seen that reaction. And the fact that we're not seeing that reaction just makes me think that this was just kind of a non-event. Kind of perfect price action. You guys know I like to start with especially on Monday, I want to take a look at the ES and not so much the many companies still can't load their websites this morning. That's right. And again, just my mentality on it is that if you know about that and I know about that, then everybody knows about it. And the it's just priced in, right? We all know about it. Everyone knows about it. So, if this happened overnight, you'd say, okay, maybe there could be a gap or something like that. But image unavailable, this content, what's going on? Someone's saying they're having some problem on stream. But yeah, that again, it's not like I'm telling you this for sure, and that you can't fight me on this by any means. But so it's definitely working, the stream. I just loaded it up. So yeah, you can. Again, I just look at it again. Everyone knows, right? So saw me on Trader TV and kind of never heard of. I never heard of Oscar until we were joking. If you were there that day, last week, where I was joking with Steve, that was the first time I had ever heard of Oscar Health. I know Steve was playing it, so he's the one that kind of brought it to my attention. But no, I never heard of it before then. The more I looked into it, the more I know that it's a big cult following. So yeah, I had never heard of it myself, but we can talk about that in a bit. But I'll just talk about it now. We still got time. So my whole synopsis, the whole kind of presentation I gave, is that if you look at every sector out there, so the three big sectors, XLK is 20% of the S&P 500. XLF is like 10 to 15% of the S&P 500. XLV is 10 to 15% of the S&P 500. So XLF, obviously, we've already hit our new all-time highs long ago, and now we're just chopping around. But XLV, we haven't gotten anywhere near all-time highs. So kind of what I was saying there is that if we are going to have some sort of catch up in healthcare, then it might be time to look at some healthcare names. So one that I mentioned that is interesting is Johnson & Johnson. Again, a little bit overdone here. I'd like to see a pullback into like this prior high. If I could get that, that would be great, because this is a huge base breakout. It's been years there as well. And then on top of that, I mentioned Oscar, which again, I had never heard of until I'd kind of like started looking at it. Well, until Steve mentioned it, and then I started looking into it on the weekend. And yeah, it's there's a cultists. I guess that's a good way. I was trying to find a way to sugarcoat it, but I'll just take Alex's words. Yeah, it seems a little bit of a cult there, which is a little worrisome, right? Sometimes it means you can get some institutional kind of or retail push that gets interesting, and then sometimes it means just nonsense. But I just like the chart, and I know that I've already talked about this with Steve. If it gets over this 24 ever, and it's got a 22% short float, for me, it's just like I I need to see that happen, and it's at 20 right now, 1950 20. So if we start to bounce up near 24 and we break this 24, then now this is just on this beauty of trading with things like alerts and things like that, is that I've got an alert set for 24 or like 2350, and then that will yell at me and say, hey, it's getting up to 24, and then I'll watch it till then. But it's a nice looking chart for sure. Like big cup handle, you could draw that out, this kind of cup and handle pattern in the long run. So the cultists are definitely deter me, right? You've got the AMC GME guys. Again, the Bed Bath & Beyond ones are the real crazy ones. But right, so again, nice looking chart, little cup and handle, 22% short float in a sector that I think could move. All of those things look great together. But the way that I trade is get to 24 and we'll talk. And then the only thing that I'm risking is that earnings comes out a couple weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now. So maybe it just gaps through it. Maybe there's something that gaps through it. But for me, it'd just be buy it at 24, put a stop around probably 17, 18, halfway in this range, and then see if it gets up to the 50s. But yeah, back to the market. So short term, the ES, I really liked the price action overnight. So the reason I usually look at the SPY is just because it's easy and more liquid. The ES is the best to look at for just the overnight, especially Sunday night, because if you look at the SPY, you only get the open of this morning, the 4 a.m. open. If you look at ES, you look at the futures, or again, the little tip is SP 500. If you don't want to trade for futures data, so you can go to this Vantage one. This is going to look the same because this is a CFD on the futures. So it's, the way that Forex traders and everything will trade futures is using this one as well. So again, nice little gap up, nice little pull back, and that's all this happened. So this candle right here, this gap up, is the one that happened right at the 7 o'clock futures open, 7 o'clock my time, futures open. And then we pull back into the range here. We go negative just a little bit, and then we've been grinding higher after that. So it filled the gap, went a little bit further, and now we're sitting kind of right at highs here. So if we take a look at just the gaps across the board, right? IWM, huge gap there. Qs, big gap up. And the Qs I wanted to focus on just because we are much closer to this all-time high by already breaking this high, whereas the SPY, you can see we're still below this high and more below the all-time highs. So I want to see, again, give me that broken or that broken on a closing basis, and then we'll talk. The rest of this that's happening inside this range, I think, is just chop, and it sucks because I like it when things go up, but the everything's just kind of chopping about there. Now, When it comes to the economic calendar, of course, we have pretty much nothing because the government is still shut down. However, there's an earnings. Apps, groups, charts, home. No, just Google earnings cal. Earnings Whisper. We'll just use that guy. Yeah, there's not too much today. I was just looking at the earnings here. There's not a lot going on the earnings side of things today. Beyond, yes, I saw that on the nice little pop up there. This is bankrupt, right? They went bankrupt, didn't they? I thought they went bankrupt, which means it goes under eventually and equity holders lose everything. But it is heavily shorted, but it's heavily shorted because it's going bankrupt. Yeah, 63% short float. Will these guys never learn? Right? It drops under $2 and they short here. So yes, it seems like it's just a short squeeze, which again it's not to disparage it. You can make a lot of money on a short squeeze. So it's not to disparage, hey, it's a short squeeze, don't play it. Just know that don't fall into kind of the culty side of things where I know, again, I keep picking on the meme stock guys. I don't mean to be mean, especially if you're one of them, but the AMC guys, they've been yelling about a short squeeze since this $2 stock was $500. And there's some of them out there that are crazy enough to think that this $2 stock is ever going to go back to $500 a share. So just make sure you are not one of them, right? You are not falling into that trap of, oh yeah, this right, this meme stock is going to definitely be a thing, right? Take your short squeeze. Same with the GME people, right? And my charts go weird here because I got some Bollinger Bands on. Let me hide those. There, right? There's some people out there that think we're going all the way back to like $100 on GameStop, and if we do, it'll be a slow grind higher. And so play the short squeeze, have fun playing the short squeeze, have a great time, and then get out after the short squeeze and move on with your life. And just don't be that guy who's just stuck there forever thinking that Beyond Meat is actually going to be a thing. I had one. They're fine. It's just something that's super easy to copy and replicate. So why would they did it? I always say, go to the meme stock party, have fun at the meme stock party. Just don't be the last guy at the meme stock party, right? So you just want to have a nice, safe, planned drive home. Because I think I've told this story a bunch, but the original GameStop squeeze, I had a 6-figure trade on. It was an amazing trade. It was on right here. So you have the initial squeeze, and then it come back, and it put in this 4 or 5 sideways base. Then it was breaking out here on volume. So I remember I bought it. I think this was like $100 or something post split, and then it just ripped. It was crazy. It was like a 400 or 500% gain in just a week. It's just nuts, right? So I had put I think 50,000 into it, and by the time my profit was over six figures on it, and I just moved on. I took my money and I moved on with my life. And then there's some people who just didn't, and then all the way back down plus lower, and then you spent the last like 5 years hanging out in this stock that's probably that now it's just a crypto treasury. It's a crypto treasury that loses money. So it's the worst crypto treasury, right? Because the rest of them are just being treasuries as well. Um, and yeah, it was great. So yeah, again, have the what else are we looking at here? I think Steph, if Steph mentioned something, it's insane. Where was it? REPL. See what else is going on. Again, so I guess it's a good time to go over um what to do when you're back from a vacation, which I am as well. And I am not going to lie at all. I'm rusty here, right? I was away from the markets for the entire time um, that I was gone. Right, I don't really. My bots trade it, and we were obviously talking about the markets and hanging out and things like that. But I'm not actually doing my normal analysis where I sit down, I go through tons and tons of charts every day. I pre-wrote a whole bunch of my signal stacks, right? Because I'm a writer on signal stack, and I pre-wrote all of that. So I don't feel like I am as knowledgeable of the market today as I was just a couple days ago. And we're all going to take vacations. It's you have to, or you just burn out entirely if you spend your whole life just staring at charts. So you have to, You have to kind of clear your mind and get away from the screens. I know a lot of people fall into the trap of as soon as they're back, they're like super excited to get into it and to start trading right away. And my kind of answer and talk to those people is just don't, is take a day, take a breath, and that's what I'm planning on doing today. And just kind of watch, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rely a lot on you guys in chat to tell me what you're seeing out there. And by sitting here for the morning and hanging out with you guys, so we're going to go through a lot of charts, and I'm going to watch a lot of price action happen, and I'm going to probably not be too active doing anything myself. Again, the robot's all queued up and away it's going, and then I just kind of hang out. So I'm not going to be very aggressive on a day back from, I say vacation, but this is just a trip, a business trip. Anytime I'm away from the market for more than like 2 days, and I haven't done my nightly routine, which is go through, hundreds of charts, and when I'm feeling it, which I am now, I'm just not feeling like I have a good grasp on what happens when I'm going to rely on you guys. So you guys bring up charts, I'll take a look at them, and just by going through enough charts, you end up getting kind of your swimming legs back, right? So yeah, REPL is a biotechnology company. So unless they're melanoma treatment, that's a good thing. So this company is actually doing things. It is helping. And someone mentioning Tesla. Yeah, Tesla, a lot of tech earnings. Tesla has earnings soon. I did look at this while I was out. I really do like the look of this Tesla chart. Right. We talked about this nice breakout that happened, and then Elon got involved. And then just kind of like what we're seeing in Ethereum, when something hits a new all-time high after it hasn't been there for a long period of time, consolidates below that all-time high without giving too much back, to me, that's very bullish. That's what I want to see happen. in something like this in Tesla. This is the most bullish you can get, because if you come up, you can kind of smack your head on that all-time high, and then you just reverse immediately. Then that just says there's a lot of people who are waiting there, getting ready to click the button to sell as soon as you hit an all-time high. The fact that you're not seeing that in Tesla, it's hit the all-time high and it's just chopping around here, hasn't really gone anywhere for a number of weeks. That to me almost feels closer to like building up energy to break that all-time high eventually. So yeah, Tesla would look interesting, and that's important as well because that's going to be a large part of the tech, large part of the Qs, large part of the Nasdaq. So it's going to be important to kind of keep that in mind. And then we look at QS, no pre-market trades, so no new news for that one, but a nice base there as well. Yeah, and we got to remember that with earnings season coming, it's important to potentially not focus too hard on the idea of you don't want to trade things that have earnings a couple days away, generally speaking. The idea is that going into earnings, you will have less institutional involvement as earnings come, because they don't want to take a big shot into earnings, right? We don't either as retail traders. No one wants to, okay, earnings is coming, I'm going to take a big swing into a company with this binary event happening that I can't really update. The What we want to do is we want to make sure that after earnings, that's where all the action is. That's why so many people, when they day trade and stuff, will just trade things that are after earnings. So, this is it's just a little sideways kind of consolidation, and it may continue to be that way. Sometimes you get like a drift up or a drift down into earnings, but for me, it's like, why take the bet before a large binary event happens? Just take the bet after, right? Yeah, the Tesla trades like many others 30 days into earnings. So, sometimes you get a little drift higher, you get a drift lower, but generally you don't get big spiky action because there's a couple of reasons. Well, one is the company is sealed, right? The company cannot and will not report a lot of, I think it's sometimes it's a week before earnings. They have these like lockup periods where in these lockup periods, CEOs aren't allowed, or C-suite people aren't really allowed to talk to anyone. They're not really allowed to kind of bet too much with their money. They don't really release new earnings or new, press releases. Generally, it's like, okay, we have earnings, we'll just release anything that we have. And then with the C-suite not able to talk and generally not able to buy or sell securities too close to earnings, so you just get less news flow and therefore less overall price action. And then you have earnings and off you go. Last, before we get started, I think it's worth looking at the crypto space, which had a pretty dramatic bounce on the weekend. So if we take a look at Ethereum, I think Ethereum is a better chart to look at. This was the crash, right? The flush in Ethereum that ended up knocking out tons of traders who were trading on leverage and trading too much. Had a little bounce, came back down, got nowhere near that low, and now we're bouncing again. And if you look at Solana, it's the same thing, right? Bounce, that was the flush event. Then it bounced, came back to test it, and so far we are bouncing. So, Pengu, right? Same thing. A lot of these things just completely fell apart, and now they're starting to curl and potentially push higher. This long-term chart on this one looks good. So got to keep that in mind because as we know, there's a lot of things out there that are now crypto related. So we've got just a couple minutes for the open. Again, pre-market low, pre-market high, you could mark, but we're right at the pre-market high. Just to reiterate, I don't trust much as long as we are inside this candle's range, this kind of scary candle's range. If we break out, that's new all-time highs again. Great. We're back on. If we break down here, this is where we might start to have discussions about potential more bearish scenarios or things to worry about. So, all right, opening bell, we're off. Opening first initial drive here is to the upside. Let's just see if anything else kind of happens. Throughout here, I've got my Walter Bloomberg open for talking about China and all this stuff, what's going on. But yeah, nice little pop up here. So again, we're just watching the overall market and we're saying, well, what's the move? What's the initial move here? And the initial move so far is looking good. It's looking higher. Now going through, we have IWM actually leading the pack, but its initial drive is actually lower. So it had a spike right into and right before those initial that initial open, and now it's selling back down here. And then we have the opposite happening with the SPY, where it was down leading into the open, and then as soon as we hit the open, we've been pushing higher. We've been grinding higher as well. So far, super bullish day. Is that the where's the high? Is that the pre-flush high? Just want to make sure I've got that. Oh, a long way to go there. So there's a 30-minute chart showing that's the pre-flush high, and that's the low right there if you include the after hours candle. So we do have a long way to go. I guess the next high to look out for is this one right here, and that's at 670. We're at 688 and a half on the S&P 500. So really just ripping here right off the bat. Do I have thoughts about Zora, the actual model for the coin? No idea about any of those. Sorry, I don't think I'm the guy for that. I just look at the charts. You're talking about this one? I don't really have much. Doesn't look like it's been doing much. Nice little cup and handle look. So interesting one. Wow. So after the first 2-minute candle, we continue to rip there. We continue to run. All right, now let's take a look here. I've got some trades coming through the bot. I'm just trying to grab my NUIA, a little short in this name right here. So again, the bot does a lot of fading, right? The idea is that in my research, most are choppy action. Most days are just choppy in the market intraday, and you get a lot of that movement that happens after hours. And then in the during the kind of overnight session, that's where you get a lot of the same movement. You get gaps that happen after hours, and then during the day, generally, like within a decent percentage, you get some kind of sort of choppy action. Then also, whatever I don't know what that is. ABTC. Did I have that from? I had that from overnight. Okay. And then LBRT. So LBRT taking a short here in this one. If we look at all these, the daily chart's going to look the same. This had a crazy day. And now it's saying that continuation. That might be a little bit much. That might be something to kind of relax just a little bit on. All right, let's take a look here. this Oscar bouncing here. It's just through 20. So this is how, like, if I'm watching something to break through 24, like we talked about. So I put an alert at 20, and that's what just got triggered there. Then 21, and then 22, and then 23, and 23 and a half. So it's like that meme of the person who has, 1,000 different wake up alarms set. That's kind of what I do with these. Is I just want to be alerted as it gets closer and closer to what I'm looking at, like what I'm looking to see for the action. So the fact that it just, touched, came up to 20 there, that was another one. So far, the bot is looking quite a bit from the short side of things. So I just need to keep that in mind. Is that I need to go to the SPY and just take a look there and see if we're going to chill out at all. So far, the first 3 or 4 channels have been going awesome. Oh, they pay people on average. Yeah, I get tons of questions to advertise crypto stuff on Twitter. I don't do it. And I don't do it for a reason. So RGTI is just selling off entirely here. And USAR talking about USAR looking a little bearish as well. So market's looking great, but some of these sectors are still kind of falling apart. So if we have to go to XLV, that one's doing nicely and holding up. Probably why Oscar is doing okay as well. XLF, which is financials, that's holding as well. And XLK, which is technology. Come on. That's the real star of the show here is technology. Technology sector is doing the best. Yeah, beyond what's going on with that one, it's holding. Again, this dollar area on stocks, I've explained it before, but in case someone's new, super important. And it's super important because a $1 is, you have to be above $1 to stay listed on the NASDAQ. So it's not just an arbitrary price in the way that a lot of places are just arbitrary prices. $10. Sometimes you get resistance around $10, but it's psychological and arbitrary. A dollar is important because sub a dollar, you get kicked off the NASDAQ and you go to the pink sheets. And as soon as you're on the pink sheets, you can't get institutional participation in your stock. A lot of institutions are just barred from trading on the pink sheets. So what that means is simply it's important that you're above $1 so you can stay listed on the NASDAQ so that some institutions can invest in you. And not many will, but some can. So you'll start to see some of this mess around the dollar area. So this is kind of the setup that me and Mitch are looking to play, where you have this nice pre-market shelf. We do a little bit of dip off the open, and then we start to rip right through. So let's watch this, and let's actually watch to see. I have somewhere. Is it this one? Yes. Let's move this one over there. So I built this indicator, and this will be the indicator to potentially trigger that. So what it's doing is that this line right here, this orange line, this is that pre-market low. So it needs to meet a couple criteria. First, it has to break the pre-market low. And then second, it needs to kind of quickly come back up and through VWAP. The idea is you take your trade there, you put your stop at the low of the day, you get that dip and rip kind of mentality that Mitch likes so much. So then if you end up getting that, then you've got a potential for a trade that's a pretty decent shot to take. And looks like we may be getting that particular setup here on this guy. So we'll take a look. And then REPL is the other one to watch, right? So this is this is going to be the pre-market high, that purple line, and it would expect a pop through that and then a continuation down. Yeah, well, I know you're talking about a resolution with China and the US on rare earths. I think everyone's watching that, and I think you're right. It will probably be a big sell the news event. I know they're supposed to meet, was it next week or the week after? That'll be a big deal. So yeah, a close below this would be the short on REPL. And if we take a look beyond meat, the buy would be above, all the way above 104 or so. Let's take a look at the SPY, just grinding higher. Nice look there. And everything kind of looks the same. The Qs, the IWM, RSP, we're all just looking the same, slow grind up. And of course, we don't have any economic numbers where there's nothing really to kind of get us going from here. So we just need to watch price action. So if anyone's seeing anything, USR continuing to sell there. HYMC. This took a short there in HYMC. This had this dramatic sell off on Friday and then a nice little kind of jump up there today. So the bot is just looking to take that continuation fade there lower. So far, NUAI, this one's working out well from the short side of things, and LBRT, this one is working bad on the short side of things. So net, it's pretty much a flat open, which is good. Most of the time, I mentioned this, I generally start off down, and then the hope is that the mean reversion kind of comes in later. Yeah, Monster up, came in, tried to fill the gap there off the open, but that's going to probably be a lot with Bitcoin holding up here nicely. Ethereum holding up nicely. MindMed had a crazy day. You guys know I'm in this one. I had a crazy day Friday. Gap down under this support and then just ripped all day. And now it was right up to that zone. That was a pretty wild. It's a wild one. Big Tech Green. Yeah, MAGS is a good one for that. So this is the MAG 7, which I don't know if the plan is to change that when the MAG 7 no longer matters, because right, first it's FANG and then it was FANG S or something. There was all these little acronyms. The MAG 7 isn't a new thing. There's always been a silly little acronym for what the largest companies are. I just wonder if they're going to change their name when that happens. IWM continuing to push here. Sold off just a little bit, turned around back to new all-time highs. S&P 500 butting up, not all-time highs, today's high. S&P 500 is butting up on today's high as well. So that's a nice look for that guy. Everything is looking great except my MindMed that just went red on the day. It was huge up in the pre-market. It's up like another 5-6% in the pre-market, and then it gave that back. Oscar is kind of interesting to me just because I was watching it here. If it gets over the 2-day VWAP, I might start like a smarter. Right? The idea was here's the 2-day VWAP, came back down to test it. Now it's looking higher. Again, before I take a full position, it needs to break this 24. But the question I have is, can I just, start to starter position a little bit early? I guess all the way up to 21 would be the anchored VWAP from this high. HYMC. Yeah, it's trying to short this here. So big, huge down day yesterday, and now it's gapping into that range. So the bot is trying to short that for a potential rollover continuation there. Everything looking higher. SPY is just basing up in this area. GSIT. Yeah, that What are they allowing? Or is this a real company? It's wild that you have to wonder, is this a real company? I don't see anything. I don't see any news. Bloom and Energy. It's a nice look as well. How's our Beyond Meat doing? Not good. So that's the beauty of that little setup that I showed and I talked about there, is that you don't need to guess on these. It's the idea is what I'm looking for is a lot of the other stuff that I do, pretty much everything that I do currently is a second day play idea, right? Is that you're looking for a day 2 setup, so LBRT, go back to that, right? This is a second day play in the context of yesterday was whatever news event took place on Friday. And then I'm playing the second day. I'm saying, okay, if it extends a little further, that's a little bit too much. So we'll take a short there. Right. So that's the second day play. And those are working well. I've got all those back tested kind of 25 years plus, and they're doing well, but they're all second day plays. So you need day 1 to happen and then day 2 to happen. So what I'm looking for is a way to trade potentially day 1 and then also day 2 on stocks that are in play, on things that are moving. Right, again, first day and then second day is the goal there. So something like that undercut and rally seems like a good a good time to play day 1, because it would have kept us out of this entirely. GI or REPL would have kept us out of this one, I think, as well. Let's turn that back on. I can hide those because that's the thing that bugs me, these 2 lines. Or can I make them like less annoying? Yeah, I can really fade them there so I can still see them. There we go. Yeah, so this one potentially is going to short if it breaks that VWAP, but that's what's happening as well. Hey, Michael, is it better TSLL with a 25K account? So if you're going to trade, so the question is basically TSLL or TSLA, right? If you wanted to take a trade, don't let the price of the security scare you, because it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if you take 1 share of $1,000 stock or 10 shares of $100 stock or 100 shares of a $10 stock, right? We just always remember you're only ever paid in percentages, right? It's the only thing that pays you is if the stock goes up. If you have $1,000 in the stock, it goes up 10%, you make $100. Doesn't matter if that $1,000 in the stock is 1 share or 10 shares or 20 shares or 1,000 shares or whatever. It is the dollar amount that you put into the stock, and then the percentage move after that. That is all that matters. Right? Everything else after that is just whatever. So just know that. That is the most important thing. So the benefits of TSLL has nothing to do with price. The benefits is the double leveraged. Right now, double leverage to me, and I would encourage to most people, shouldn't mean that you can take twice as much risk. It should mean that you apply half as much capital. It's the way I look at it. So on something like TSLA, it's just whether you want that to take that kind of that leverage or not, right? Keep the price of the security completely out of your mind entirely. It does not matter. All that matters is the dollar amount that you have put into the stock, either long or short. And I know I know I will never win this fight across a lot of people, because some people are still, oh, I only trade stocks between $20 and $50. It doesn't matter what the price of the stock is, right? It could be $1 stock, it could be $1,000 stock. It does not matter. It is all just numbers. Oh, hey, it was awesome hanging out with you on the trip. It's really, really cool meeting you and everyone else in person. Um, yeah, that leverage is good and bad, of course, right? It's a tool, right? It's like debt. That's debt is not inherently bad. Debt that you can't pay is bad. Um, I met everyone, Joe and Josh and Michael and Kevin and Tim and the whole crew. The whole crew. Just got a tweet from Walter Bloomberg there saying Robinhood. See, this is what someone was asking, hey, is this AWS thing going to affect the market? Well, Robinhood has been down. I don't know if it's up now. I don't have a Robinhood account. They don't like us Canadians, but Robinhood got kind of cream there, wasn't working at all, and their stock's up 5% today. So, again, once you know about it, and I know about it, and everyone knows about it, it's priced in, and it's just kind of why focus on that thing anymore. That's the way I look at it anyway. SPY just continues its move higher here. Slow grind up there. And again, hood. GPT also told me to take leverage with less risk. Well, that's a good recommendation of ChatGPT. I've heard that Reddit's AI went off and started to tell people to do heroin and stuff. So be careful with what these AIs tell you. But if that's Joe from the Discord tech, and he it was really, really cool. Everyone was super nice. It's great to meet everyone. But yeah, so these are just leverage vehicles, right? So like my Oscar trade, for example, there's OSCR, and then there's OSCX. There's leverage trades for all of these, and there's just going to be more and more and more to come. So something benefit of OSCX would just be, if I really liked Oscar when it's breaking that 24 area, I could take less, apply less capital and take OSCX. Now, for a day trade, no, because this thing doesn't really have much volume. But for a swing trade, right, if Oscar is breaking out, the real Oscar, then I could just buy this and I could take less overall leverage, or less overall buying power to get the same thing. And that's just the way I look at it, is that leverage does not mean I go bigger. Leverage just means I get to spread my bets out more. So, take a leveraged, just look at it that way and say, hey, I can take more and hopefully uncorrelated trades if I use the leverage product, as opposed to, oh, I can make more money if I'm right, if I use the non-levered, or use the leverage product, which would just mean, putting more in, which again, I don't think is necessarily the move here. Bull, they're watching. So Bull was trending on stock twits for the same reason that, see, that would have been the trade right there on Bull. I got to get this drawing out of the way. But yeah, look at that undercut of the pre-market low and then the rip through. So I'm getting very encouraged by this indicator. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to play a little game with Mitch, in which he is going to make a list of things that he thinks could potentially trigger from this setup and make money. And he's going to open an account, and then we'll set up, signal stack and everything for the trading. but he's not going to be able to touch it. I'm going to have the username and password on my side, and I am going to plug the trades into it. So the trades will just pop up, and we'll talk about them on the stream. And then we will compare the returns of doing something like that with doing his own trades and see if his own robot beats him. And I would bet it will. So Spy coming back in here. Question is, are we going to test VWAP, and are we going to hold that VWAP? But we did get a little bit of a sell there. It just happened right in the market. So just beware. If you're long anything, we're just coming in, not dramatic, but we're just coming in just a little bit here. Tesla pushes back on proxy firms, no vote. I just see news here. So some Tesla news that our boy Walter Bloomberg's talking about. Clack upgraded by, oh, that's a nice push there on Clack. Users report indicate that Amazon problems for web services for 3,500 users in the US. Jeez. So again, just to summarize, I'm all short. I'm short HYMC. I'm short IAG, which is another gold miner. I'm short LBRT. And that one I'm about flat on now. All these I'm about flat on. And NUAI, I am short. And so far, I'm up pretty good on that one. So, aren't those day trader rules? Oh, the pattern day trader rule? Yeah, I think that is next year. They're planning on doing that. Government's got to open up before they can worry about things like that. Always thought those rules were, we don't have those rules in Canada. Always thought those rules were real dumb. I thought those rules made no sense at all in any way, shape, or form. Because you can YOLO your entire life on a 0 DTE option, but if you trade 3 times a week, somehow that's bad. So GSIT. Whoa. Still going. No, let's look. Let's go to StockTwits. Yeah, we're halted here to the upside. This is why if I ever get into shorting these penny stocks, it's not going to be day one. It's not going to be this day. Talked to Kevin while I was there about his hangover trade. Really, really interested in that idea. The devil is in the detail, of course. Like with anything, it's me as a systematic guy. It's programming in the fine points of the trade, like what's the exact entry trigger, what's the exact exit trigger, all of those things. So AGI, another short just came in here. So shorting a lot of gold. We use FinViz on Futures Runner. I'd like to hear more about that. I have FinViz here. I actually have FinViz Elite. News. Maybe I should just be using this. What's the GSIT we're talking about. Oh, here we go. Oh, it announced earnings today. Yeah, you think they would mention that on TradingView. So there's an earnings call going on. Man, look at that chart. Holy smokes. Rocket ship. And let's do the short float. Maybe that's what's going on. Is this a heavily shorted one? No, only 1% there. What a rocket ship. That's good. You're right. I should use, especially now that I have their elite version. I should try it out more. So my AGI is coming back just a little bit. Take a look at the SPY. The SPY is bouncing, but I've got a bunch of gold and gold related shorts, and they're not bouncing with the market. So I'll take that, being short while the thing that you are, everything's pushing up and I'm short. I'll take that all day long. NUAI. Again, this is where I'm hoping that this thing just breaks down here and just starts to push lower. Again, you can see the red arrow, and this is the alert. This is the system that we're testing with, trying to get Mitch systemized. So that would have been the short right on this candle right here at 545, and the stop would have just immediately been put at 588, which is the high of the day. He can move it from there or cancel it if he's wearing his tinfoil hat that day. But yeah, if this thing breaks in through here, that might be an interesting one. I'll probably start to take some profits on that if that happens. BTBT, yeah, ripping there. Bit digital. So what about Bitcoin? Just kind of chopping around, not doing too much there on the Bitcoin. So far, we came in a little bit shy of VWAP, and then now we're bouncing. So quickly, we want to see this break through this high right here if we're going to continue today. Today could be a choppy one, because if we go and we take a look at earnings hub, I love this guy. So these are the earnings for get rid of that side thing there. So these are the earnings for this week. So you see, not much today, right? Not much we really care about today. Oh, come on. Guys, don't make me give you the email for everything. Then we take a look through here, and it gets a little bit more interesting. Netflix, ISRG, we got the NASDAQ, we got a lot of things. Just let me mess about. And then Tuesday is where things start to pick up, right? We've got Tesla being a big one there. So things are going to start to roll out. And there's new highs in the SPY. If the government is going to remain closed, then it's really earnings are going to be the thing that we care about. That's going to be the thing that really shakes up the market, is what are companies doing? If the government can't tell us how the economy is doing, then it's going to be more focused on what the government's doing, what it's looking at. Give me a thumbs up, Kevin. I'll haul you in if you're good. What up, man?
Mr. Noss, last time I saw you was in the flesh in Orlando. So
I was telling everyone what a great time it was to hang out, meet with everybody.
Yeah, and you got quite the bowling game too.
Well, I didn't embarrass myself as much as I thought I would. But
Right. Yeah, that was such a good time. So how did your conference end up going?
it was good. It was good. Wish there was more people there, but for Michael's, he got a room full, so that was good. That was good.
Okay.
But yeah, I got everything recorded, which is the most important thing, so that we can talk about it on
Right.
stream, and we can upload it here, and people can see it. That's really what I'm what I was hoping. So yeah, that videographer guy was awesome.
Yeah, he was a ton of fun. I can't wait to get the editor's going to get all that footage and get that rolling. I see Angelo in the building. Angelo, that was, I mean, like you said, Angelo. I mean, we made lifetime friends there. It was
Hmm.
such a blast with you guys, just talking trading. I mean, it was like home. I was telling my wife that it's like this is home for me. I mean, these people. There's nothing like traders getting together and being able to
Hmm.
hash it up about the market and all.
Well, yeah,
So
because it's such a lonely,
mhm.
generally speaking, you're just sitting there alone. It's one of the reasons that I do this stream, right? Is I'm going to be sitting here looking, the way that I work with systematic and everything is I watch the bot for the first hour, hour and a half, which is how
Yeah.
long the stream goes every day, and then I shut it all down. I go and do, working on new systems or whatever. So I'm going to be here, either just sitting in my dark room alone and just and staring at these charts. So I might as well just come and hang out with you guys and do it. That's the way I
Right.
look at it.
Yeah, especially like with you and your systems. I mean, certainly you could just be in the shadows doing all this, but you have a passion for it and helping other traders out and being and adding value to the community. You clearly can see it. I mean, you're very passionate about helping other traders out. So it's a huge part of it. I mean, it's a ton of
Hmm.
fun. There's a lot of value in becoming lifetime friends, Angelo. What a night we had,
And
Angelo.
yeah,
What?
and the beauty of it is, just, giving value like that. I find that I get way more back, right, in
Yes.
return.
There's an old
You.
wise saying that says, if you need something, you should give it away. Essentially, like if you
Hmm.
need a friend, be a friend. And I found the same thing, like you're saying. If I need help with trading and I give help, it helps me in return. Because especially if I listen to myself, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And not just that, I always encourage everybody to write. And I'm one that I'm diagnosed with like really heavy dyslexia. Like it's hard for me to write. Thankfully with AI, I can write just absolute nonsense and it can usually translate into something that's good. But it's the same thing. It's just putting, right, start a Substack, right, and just put stuff out there. And
Hmm.
it's a good way to kind of get your thoughts together. But B, you'll find kind of like-minded people who might give you some ideas and place you wouldn't look. Because for me as a systems guy, the hardest part of it is just the idea generation. Right after that, it's a process. It's building and testing and
Hmm.
testing some more and all of that. So like you with your hangover trade that just has I've got an idea now, so I can just sit there and start to clack away and work. But I would never have gotten that idea if I hadn't met you and I hadn't
Hmm.
come on the stream and all that. So 100%. That's why too we always invite people. If you're in the audience, you want to come just on one day and chat.
Yeah.
Mitch can get you set up, and we're good to go. So, what are you watching today, anyway?
Yeah, so speaking of some hangovers, there were a few that I'm working. ANRO's interesting right now. I'll just flip through some tickers with action right now, guys. ANRO up through 10. 10 became a magnet here. And now she's at the highs. Neuroscience ticker.
Mhm.
Obviously, GSIT is at 17 now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. GSIT. I know a bunch of you are probably monitoring GSIT. This is this Monday warrior momentum that we're seeing. Tiny float on GSET that came out with some news this morning and related to GPU performance and AI. That's sitting at highs right now, squeezing just higher and higher. As far as some plays that I like, Mr. Noss. I mean, I don't mind stabbing these, but they're gonna be small. They're gonna
Mm.
be real small.
G stat very small. That looks like a
Yeah.
widowmaker right there.
REPL, I'm working this one, guys, on a short against 950s right now. I may size into a little bit, looking heavy. I like the 950s there. She's up from 4 to 10, and she doesn't have, and it's like the momentum's is on GSIT and elsewhere on ANRO. Another one, Rainy, I'm working on the short side. This one's a hangover, been working out well.
Yeah.
220s, Magic 20s has been holding up very well on Rainy. So that one we could see continuation on the fade today. So it's not over. If anybody wants to get involved, there 220s is the risk guide for me. Working that one, and then Prax was a hangover. Look at this setup, Nas. Prax against this previous close 190, and she still has a ton of meat here. The issue with Prax, a couple issues, a little liquidity issue, and the phase 3 trials is what she came out with, which held her up yesterday. So, with the hangovers, I like to see essentially, I like to kind of monitor what day 2 is going to do. And yeah, day 2, she double topped at the previous high day and kind of went sideways. And today she is doing the profit taking. So again, all eyes are off of her now. This is day 3. She did have positive phase 3 trials. That's the final one for you pharmaceutical people out there. Phase 1's, is it safe? 2, is it effective? 3, is it better than what's on the market? So 3 brings in massive hype. We're heavy against the previous close now, though. So we could see a continual fade there. And then the other one is ARTV, which I missed my entry at the open, but ARTV did the liquidity move on Friday, guys. ARTV was a big play on Friday. It was choppy, aggravating. It was hard, on both sides to trade this thing. They did their liquidity move. Then they did a little descending triangle, cracked that into after hours, and they don't have the hype today. And again, this is what the hangover is all about. All the hype was Friday. They did their liquidity move. Right now, they're heavy against 6. So I'm in small because I didn't get my entry that I wanted. But you can see the bear flag forming here. It's in even the VWAP 530 is holding up real heavy. So I'm in right around here against 550 for a fade down today. But that's it, Mr. Nasio. That's what I'm
No,
working with.
I love it. Again, I'm very interested. It's going to be soon on the list of strategies to build. I think there's a
Oh,
whole
rainy dumping more. Sorry. Yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah.
rainy dumping a
Yeah,
little bit
because
more.
I've just seen them go all day, right? And that's
Yes.
the kind of trades I don't want. I don't want to scalp, right? I don't want to try to short the high flyer and take a couple bucks here or there, and pennies in front of a steamroll and all that. This just doesn't interest me. I want setups, which is why everything that I test now uses daily charts. So I want setups that I can kind of ride, enter in the morning, close in the evening,
It's
and
right. It's
yeah,
almost like a swing for the day. I'm not you're less looking for you know, the 10-second fluctuations, like
right.
the 3-minute competition where you're looking for just the quick, scalp, but you're going in heavy, and trying to get a few pennies. It's less of that. I mean, certainly there's an edge there. But I'm with you. The older I get, the more I like high conviction, more full day picture setups with clear risk defined and just high conviction because you've seen them work out so many times.
Well, and the further you go out in time, the more acceptable margin for error, I think, is a big deal, right? Like it's if you are just shorting, if you're looking to be in and out of something in a minute and trying to make
Mhm.
20 cents or something off it,
Right.
you have a very low margin for error, right? If you miss 5 cents on your entry or something like that, you're screwed, right? Or if you're in a minute too early or a minute too late, you're screwed, right? Because
Right.
the shorter time you go, it's like flying a plane really, really fast. You're, like those Blue Angel guys and stuff. It's like their margin for error is like nothing. You cannot make any mistakes. The longer you go out in time, and the more of that you focus on, the more margin for error that you have, where you're like, okay, well, if I'm trading for an entire day, if I'm a couple cents here, a couple cents there, and the difference, who cares? And, it becomes harder to estimate, and it becomes harder to predict that longer out in time. But, it's just, there's less, and that weighs on you way less emotionally than the other way.
Right. Absolutely. And again, it's just you'd have to fight against your own nature, guys, in trading. That's the most difficult part. I was talking to a trader this morning about that who took a max loss on one ticker, and yeah, I have the tendency to want to do that too, and I was trying to preach to him like we got to get away from that, and I try to do this little mental exercise in the morning where I'm like, okay, Kevin, one ticker should never make the difference, just how one hand should never make the difference for the house. I do
Yeah.
have high conviction setups, but size them fairly consistently. You can scale your winners. I know Money Mitch talks about that a lot. Scale into the winners, the ones that are working for you, and don't be so eager to take the profits off. But as far as one ticker not working out, it shouldn't make or break, your account or the day. One
Right.
one ticker alone, it absolutely shouldn't. We should never lean that heavy on them where you're one trade away, one trade, like the old ad. He's not around anymore, but Mr. Jason Bond Picks, that's not even his real name,
Oh,
but he used
yeah.
to say that. He used to say that on his little ad. He'd say, "You're one trade away," and I always say, "Yeah, you are from blowing up, but not from
Well,
making it, because
that's
it's a journey, yeah, for you."
right. Not to disparage too many people, but he went to jail for all that, right? I think.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
if
perhaps. I know he owed a lot of money if he
Yeah,
didn't.
if not a mega heavy fines. I can't remember if he actually did time or not, but
Yeah.
yeah, it just goes to show you, some of these gurus and what they're trying to tell you. Because you're right, where there's the group of people out there that are trying to be the gambler, and
Yeah.
there's the group of people out there who are trying to be the house, right? And you want to try to be the house. You want to have a very small edge, 51% edge. Doesn't have to be a crazy edge. Then you just want to exploit that edge over and
Over,
over and over again.
over, and over, and over. And one
That's it.
hand should never, like, taking a loss should not have an impact really on. I mean, it may, but you shouldn't trade like it is.
Yeah.
You shouldn't trade like one hand makes a difference, or step away. It's so important. Like, look at this GSIT, guys. GSIT. Now, there's certainly traders out there like that are trying to get front side on this on the short side and just getting
Yeah.
absolutely wrecked. Define the dollar amount you're willing to lose on it. Stab at it if you have to, and then walk away if it's not working. Where we get in trouble is digging that hole deeper and deeper and deeper, where this ticker has to work. We allow the ego to trade, and trying to force your will on the markets is such an expensive task. Trying to prove
Right.
I'm right is a very expensive task to do. But GSIT got steam rolling. Anybody in the profits or the losses on this right now? Anyone trading that? But just be very careful and know what you're trading if you're trading, and have a dollar risk set.
If you're trading it, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, just be careful. This reminds me of like a QMMM or what SRPB, or right. There's a whole bunch of these names that end up, again, widowmakers, right? That's what they call them. I actually, no one got the reference on my speech, but I brought up the video of that crying hedge fund manager guy, um, with giving the same example of, right. This is a guy who had a strategy that was right 80% of the time, but just took one trade to blow him out. And
Hmm.
the way he did, opened up there on that GSRT.
And Prax hangover still selling off, by the way. Again, there's plenty of meat there. It's a tough one for me to get involved with. GSIT, yep, opened up, pulling back a few points there, but she moves points, not pennies at this point.
Yeah. No, this is one that if you're trading it, it's not a dollar amount anymore that you're trading. You just have to pretend that this stock is worth like 10 times what it is, because it's going to move
Yeah.
$2-3 at a clip every time until it finds an equilibrium, calms down. The news, I looked it up. It's just earnings, isn't it?
I believe. Yeah. I mean, and honestly, it's probably these things don't run on news, really. They just run on, oh, it's got something. Okay, chat room, everybody get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's for large scale. Says it's processing, unique compute and memory architectures can match GPU level performance for large scale AI applications. So at a fraction of
There you go.
the energy cost. But yeah, you're right. They announced that they're going to announce quarterly results October 30th.
Yeah. Yeah. They said the word. Huh? They said the AI word. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And everything else after that, nothing matters. So now we're halted to the downside. So that was quick.
Yeah, she doesn't really give you much time to get involved there.
Yeah,
ANRO still at
Granos.
12, guys. ANRO.
Yeah, Rand was just talking about a sleepy Monday. It's, we had that opening drive. It was one of those, you almost, if you wanted to deal with S&P 500 names, you almost had to grab them right off the open, because we had that big opening pop. And then ever since then, it's moving higher. It's just a slow, slow, slow grind. And I think a lot of this makes sense with kind of what I showed you guys here for earnings, right? Is that, let's grab, I'll sign into this thing off screen here. It's yelling at me to, continue. There we go. Right. And if you look at this, it kind of makes sense. So, we have no economic numbers anymore because the government shut down. So until that's resolved, there's no or jobs report or whatever that will shake us up. And then this is the only thing we have for earnings today is AGNC, and this is S&P 500, right? Popular stocks. It's ranked by. You can do all stocks, but I think everything gets crazy there. I'm not paying them to do that, but and then it starts to get a little bit bigger tomorrow, and then so on and so forth, right? So we'll have Intel, we'll have Ford later this week. We have Boston Scientific and Hilton and Tesla and IBM and QuantumScape, and so lots of things coming out soon. But today there's nothing. So we say this all the time. If there's a big event on the horizon, you just expect chop before that big event, and just make sure you're doing your trading accordingly, where you understand that this is probably not the day to really be going too crazy. And like I mentioned, everyone, I don't know if you kind of treat this same way, Kevin, but because I was out for all of the end of last week, I just don't feel it the way that I did, right?
I see. Yeah. No, you had a lot of traveling going on, and that certainly impacts it for sure. And then I don't know, did you get sick as well? I know Money Mitch wasn't.
Not yet, knock on wood.
Okay.
I expect to.
Okay. What did he? Yeah, I just it sounds bad. Um,
Flu, right? I call it
yeah,
the
yeah,
conference plague, right? It's you fly in a tube to shake hands with like 250 people, and then fly in a tube with a bunch of people back.
right.
Yeah, poor dude looked miserable, just
Ah,
fluish and feverish and all that kind of
hate
stuff.
it.
So it's like
Mm.
I know it's going to happen. Like, so you're probably going to be bugged to come on again sometime, but
Oh, yeah, anytime. Yeah.
it's yeah, it's, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I get away from this one scot free, but I kind of just I assume it in my brain that something bad will happen when it comes to sickness, because you shake that many people's hands, right? Someone's got to have something, you know?
You don't want to be that guy wearing gloves and a mask and
Yeah, just, it's good for the immune system, and plus,
yeah,
right,
right.
you have kids too, right? Yeah, between one of them, you're always, this is the time of year, right? Everyone gets cooped up inside more, and it's fall, and everyone's sneezing on each other. So yeah, it's my time coming.
Yeah. I hate. Yeah, it sounded like they got it too, and you're trying everything you can for them not to get it because that just
Yeah,
the
yeah,
weeks ahead is tough. So yeah, I had a lot of traders saying today, like several of the brokers were down. I didn't dive deep into
yep.
that. Did you see that? So
Robin Hood.
right in Webull too? Apparently, Webull, a lot of them were
Yeah.
having trouble there. What was going on?
So AWS was down, which was hilarious because Amazon's up, and even Robinhood's up big, up like 5%. But yeah, so Amazon Web Services, which kind of runs the guts of a lot of things out there, and I know the government and everything has like, I think the Pentagon has their data on AWS. So it's a lot of things run on AWS. It's almost, a lot of people think of Amazon and they think of the selling of stuff, but AWS is an equal size of their business. They make as much from AWS as they do
Hmm.
from all of the selling. And yeah, it was down today. I don't know if it still is or if it's back up, but that, Robinhood, Webull, a lot of different brokers, Wealth Simple, which is like a Robinhood clone up here in Canada,
Hmm.
that was down which gave me a mild heart attack this morning because
Ooh.
it didn't present with, if it presented with a, hey, we're having internet problems, come on back, that would be one thing. But it presented with a, hey, Michael, open your first account. And I have hundreds of thousands of dollars with these people. And I'm like, what? But thankfully, right, like always, the first thing you do is you go to Reddit and it goes, yeah, it's down because of this thing's happening. So
Gotcha.
I was okay with that. But yeah, I actually emailed them and say, next time, to avoid heart attacks, you should just
Yeah.
have a splash screen that says we're having internet problems. Yeah, it came with like as if I was a new user and there was no money in any of my accounts. And I'm like,
Oh my god. Oh my god.
yeah, you could have bought an okay.
Oh.
Still, you can buy an okay house with what's in there, and yeah, just to have it say zeros was definitely not the way to deal with an internet
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. Guys, REPL, sorry. REPL
Yeah,
cracking a descending triangle right now. This is looking beautiful. REPL. I'm gonna take a piece. I'm gonna just start taking some pieces off of this as we crack on down to new lows on the day. And just let her ride, let her ride. I could see this thing fading back under even 8 today, but yeah, let me take the screen and I'll show you
yeah,
guys what I'm looking at. Yeah, what a morning for you then. Oh my god.
yeah.
At
It's
least the heart attack was mild.
yeah,
9 is the level. Descending triangle. What does that mean, guys? It's just lower highs getting tighter towards a support level. So we have lower highs forming. That 9 was acting as resistance. We're sitting on VWAP now, looking heavy. Took a piece off. We're still fading there. The hangover. Which one? Go over ARTV. That one. Oh, I just. Oh, there we go. We went over this
nice.
bear flag here. Yes, let's
Yeah,
go. Money in the
good
bank,
work.
Shotty. What you think? And
And
that was right at the
it's
520
hilarious
level.
because like I just know all of these symbols from Friday when we were there and we did the trading event and everything. So this
Yeah.
is what everyone was trying to scalp yesterday, and then this is the thing that I love the most. I think about your style is that everyone was trying to. If you look at you've got the chart up there, it's very hard to trade that thing yesterday, even though it was doing so much volume.
And I
Spend most of the
tried.
day chopping.
I tried, and it was in it, but I only gave it like, if I'm first day, Nos, like I give it like one chance and then I'm done with it. It's something to
Yeah,
that effect. And then I'm like, you know what, you guys can have it. Just I can't, it's like I can't figure out the price action. They're chopping it around. Market makers are having their fun today. I'll step aside and we'll get it today, the next day.
yeah.
Yeah, I,
And
I
it's just
agree.
I love, and again with all, and the reason I'm I'm harping on this is because this is how the best systems that I've ever built usually start. Is I see someone do something, I'm like, that not only fits with my style because nice,
Yeah,
slow, it's calm, and which is for the listeners, it should be the most important thing. Is you shouldn't just be chasing something. So you shouldn't be trading a style just because you like the personality of the person teaching it or something like that. It
right.
should really fit with your mentality, and I like it because the market, it makes sense to me why it works, and that's something that's absolutely huge. You have to have some understanding of why this thing works. And the reason it makes sense to me is because the people who propped this thing up when it was up so much aren't institutions. Institutions don't chase the day one of news. Whenever you get action like you seeing in this RV TV, ARTV, is that this is retail speculation. And those
Mhm.
people have very short attention spans. So today they're on to something else. So
Yeah.
say you bought say you caught the low. You caught that what 515 low on Friday. You nailed it. You bought 2,000 shares and then it spiked up to like $7 and you sold 1,000. And you just said, I'm going to keep the position just because, hey, I got a good trade on it, which is something a lot of people do. You're probably just going to put your stop a little bit under the low of the prior day and move on with your
Yeah.
life. And then you just got the alert to say, okay, there's your exit. So there's just people kind of getting stopped out of remainders of positions. There's people who just don't care about it anymore. So no one's like rallying
Yeah.
to hold this thing up anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right on it. You're right on it. It's There's less edge when there's a lot of competition involved, right? There's less edge. It's just that's just the
Right.
nature of it. Like, because for
It's
instance, look at this GSIT today. I mean, it's like, okay, it's like the volume's kind of trickling out. Could it crack to the downside? It could, but there's so many chat rooms and eyes and people on this that it could just like form its own pattern that doesn't exist. There's just less edge on the names on day one. So I agree, dude. Like there was a moment where I'm like, you know what? I don't care how popular or unpopular like this setup or strategy is going to be on the YouTube or whatever. I'm in this because I want to be a successful day trader. I mean,
Mhm.
want to be successful at this. That's my passion, and then teaching as well. So it's what works and what doesn't work, and where is there more edge, where is there less edge. So unfortunately, I will go over like I go over the GSITs, because again, that's where a lot of the eyes are. That's where you gain visibility, certainly, as far as going over these plays out there. But it doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to trade it, or it may mean I size less on these setups. But I'll teach where the volume is and go over the plays and setups. But we're always going to establish risk and make sure we go over that. And again, not a sexy conversation. You will not see most rooms out there talking about risk. They're talking about
No.
reward. But that's what
Yes.
separates gamblers from actual professional traders. Gamblers,
Yeah.
they just focus money, like spin the wheel. How much am I going to make this time? We don't know. And then obviously professionals, they focus risk. It's not sexy, but it is profitable. It's not popular, but it's profitable.
Absolutely. And it might be, there might be value in just observing these names, because you likely know
Yeah.
uh, tomorrow you're probably going to be trading at GSIT, assuming it
Yeah,
calms down.
exactly.
So
Hmm.
there's some value to your system tomorrow to today being just sitting there and focused and watching it and saying, okay, let's establish our levels. Let's maybe get a feel of the personality of the security. Let's kind of and you're in a way prepping for tomorrow's action by watching today's crazy security.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's it. That's it. Yeah, you just having the discipline not to take it. Like
And you're
I'm
just
just
watching
gonna
and saying,
watch. I'm
yeah,
not gonna touch. I'm just gonna look at it. I'm
no,
not gonna get
strip,
involved.
strip
Uh,
strip club rules, right? That's
yeah,
what you
yeah,
can.
exactly, exactly. Just watching. ANRO guys, Magic 20 just hit there. Went through 12, hit near Magic 20. So that we could have established a high a day. That's the peak on the volume. Volume has trickled out. It could be a decent risk guide on a sloppy seconds pop there. Just FYI on ANRO. Of course, G said. I mean, it's you have your risk guide there, but yeah, just I'm just watching, not touching that one. Um, let's flip through a couple more, but REPL, I'm with leftovers here, pretty much against none. REPL, I sitting heavy on the VWAP, and this was a day one move, by the way, Nos. But it's like I'd noticed
Mhm.
where all the in small cap land where they're all at. So it's like this one I could see it. This is already up
Well,
100+%. Is teetering out. They're not here. Let me take a stab.
yeah, and I would almost look at this as potentially, and this is something else that I'm watching too, is potentially kind of a hangover play as well. The just looking at it, if you look at kind of what happened in the early morning, well, then ever since then it's done nothing, right? So
Mhm.
there's not that like excitement that has come with this one, because it broke pre-market high super like briefly for a couple seconds, and it's just been kind of grinding lower all day. So
Right.
that, as a you compare that to that GSIT, that has just been an absolute rocket ship right off the open. That's just not right. So location to the pre-market low is a way to play it, I think, as well. Where you're saying, hey,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I
let's
agree. Yeah.
if this is above the pre-market high, then it's probably not the play. If it's below the pre-market high, then it could be with one to fade.
Right. Yeah. And then Yeah, playing those levels, that is an edge I do like to trade. Kind of identifying those pre-market levels and then just monitoring, what's she going to do there against it, and then you
Mhm.
can get involved. So my entry on REPL was after this upper wick here at 950. So it's kind of sloppy seconds, and I noticed, okay, we got a little selling pressure here. Long's trying to get it. They're getting an entry here, or an exit rather, and took it right after that. She's been heavy since, but popping up towards 9 right now is REPL. So we'll monitor that action there. ANRO kind of doing what I was just speaking on with the REPL upper wick there. Let's see if this is going to form a little wick against the highs. ANRO, I don't mind stabbing that against 1220 here. On ANRO. Let me take a look. The price action here. ANRO against even that 1220.
SPY 2 is grinding up near the high of 2 days ago. It's just been hanging out at that zone. It's been just a super slow grind higher all day long, which isn't
Okay.
necessarily a bad thing. Just
Less
know that that's
volatility.
it was lower. Again, people caring a little bit less, so it just might mean a little bit less excitement in the overall thing, which probably is better for your hangover plays, because it's not seeing a lot of animal spirits out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna try ANRO here, guys, against the 1230s. Just FYI, ANRO. Sloppy seconds pop, and then ARTV got a decent bounce off of that flush. It almost looked like an offering sell off, but dude, it's like, man, fingers crossed, get lucky one of these days on one of those. You work hard and luck comes along the way. So like the QMMM. So you take the edge, and then sometimes, on the profit side of things, you're gonna get a little luckier than usual.
I say it all the time, but yeah, it's one of my favorite mentors saying is just, he said, you got to stay alive in order to get lucky, just long enough until something dumb that you could never expect, again, like a QMMM happens, where the stock just goes up 2,000% in a single day, and you go, okay. And then you just understand that, you thank whoever you want to thank, and then you just understand that that's not going to happen very often, and you kind of continue to grind, and stay alive until the next one comes along. So as long as you're capping your downside, and you're not capping your upside, that's why I, for one, am not a big fan of just putting out profit targets. So a lot of people do that. They'll just put out, this is where I
Okay.
want to sell it at, is because you're guaranteeing yourself that you'll never get lucky, right? Because it just can't happen, right?
I love
You have,
Mark Douglas's quote on that. He says, "Be rigid with the rules, flexible with the profit expectations." I do the same thing. I set a hard stop. I think, at least in small cap land, mental stops can certainly be mental to utilize them, but there's a lot of disagreement on that. But I set the hard stops, and I'm like you. It's flexible with the profits. Take profits along the way. Try to let them maximize as much as they're going to.
well, and again, there is no reasonable debate on that. There's tinfoil hats and the reality of the world, which is, if you put out stuff like if I back test a lot of my mean reversion systems with or without stops, uh, over the long run they perform better with stops, and it's not because of some underhanded market manipulation or whatever. It's just the fact that, because you're doing mean reversion, the fact that sometimes you need to give it a lot of space and time to work, which will help. But I still run the stops knowing that it hurts the system ever so slightly, because you have to stay alive, right? Even though it never came through in my back test, one QMN to the short side, even though it would be a small percentage of my portfolio and wouldn't wipe me out, but it would take months to get back from a gain like that, right? So, uh, there's mathematically the right thing to do, and then there's kind of intellectually the right thing to do, and those are sometimes going to be two different
So
things.
your system, you said it says that stops hurt your profits a little bit.
Yes, over the long run.
Over the
But the it increases consistency dramatically, because it's not, you're not just getting smacked once. And I'm putting 1/20th of my portfolio into each trade, so there's not, it would have to be an insane move to really really hurt me. But yeah, it's just, so I still run them with the stops, just because I know it's going to take a couple percentage points a year. And the idea is that um, you can look at something and the math can tell you something, and then you have to kind of put your own trader brain in there and say, well, yeah, but a series of bad events could wipe me out, so
Right.
I'm going to use the stop anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. CNTS and SENCE, because ultimately, like you said, like your mentor said to you, I mean, you protect capital at all costs, and you'll get lucky along the way. Certainly, if you have an edge that plays itself out over time. I mean, that's the way to do it, guys. It's the way to do it.
Yeah, and Sandy's saying, I watched my interview with the Fivers. I wonder if I'm still trading Forex. Not currently. I'm definitely going to get back in it, but since that interview, I've gotten much deeper into the systematic side of things. Problem with Forex, I was doing it manually, so I was up like 3 or 4 times throughout the night, like watching the charts and doing whatever. For those who don't know, the Fivers is our parent company of Trade the Pool. I have an interview on there. I got a pretty decent, it was like 40K or something withdrawal from trading with them. And my system had a lot to do with the commitment traders data, which I talk about a lot here. The problem is a 24-hour market, and I didn't just have the systems completely nailed down. So not currently, but I am planning on going back and doing it again to get back to that, because I loved the uncorrelated aspect of that return, right? So really the entire amount of money I made there was a yen, this yen move. Where is my screen?
Anro's slowing down, by the way, right here, guys, against 1150s. It's looking okay. I may lean into it a little bit, just FYI.
Yeah, I think it was here. Yeah, this yen move where the Bank of Japan just got into this. And if you look at the commitment traders data at this time, everyone in the world was short the yen, and the Bank of Japan said enough and just caused this big collapse. So I got an amazing trade there. So, and yeah, Tech, right? You can, Twitter or whatever, just hit me up. But yeah, so I want to trade everything is my goal, right? Is the the way I look at it, the way I talk to you guys about it, and totally agree with it, my own side of things, is that the beauty of being systematic and trading is I want to trade futures, forex, swing trading, day trading, whatever, because the more kind of at bats I get on any system that has any sort of small edge, the more that edge will display itself over time. It's why one thing I love about this prop firm space is that the only limitation to that is the time to build the systems and the capital. Well, prop firms solve the capital. It's now just up to me to have the time to sit there and really test out theories and styles that I could then, because now I actually looked up, there is Signal Stack can work with MT4 and MT5, which is the Forex trading platform that everybody uses. So with the same thing that I'm auto trading with Trade the Pool, I could get orders sent to the Fivers. So that is kind of next on my horizon, get back into that. SPY, you can see breaking this high. This line right here is the high from, if we go to the daily chart, is this candle's high right here. So this is the first really big bounce from this tantrum that we had, and we reversed from there. So the fact that we've done that, right, that means that now we're through that. The next target, the next shot is this prior high right here before Trump freaked us out. So if we get there, that's a new all-time high for those who celebrate. Congratulations, new all-time highs. And we just continue to go. Like I've been talking about, this line down here is that post-market low. You can see it easier on the ES, but this is because we freaked out all day and then, into the post market. And this is that high. So between these two zones, I'm not really too concerned about anything. We have to get up and over this particular zone to really matter here.
Yeah, Anro, guys, I'm just monitoring here because it's kind of elevator-ish watch. Slowing down a lot, ANRO. So I'm bringing down the stop fairly tight on it, like 1150s. Otherwise, I'm going to see if she's about to snap, which looks like there is some selling pressure coming in. When something's hanging up here and it slows down that much, and she's up a lot, sometimes you do get that selling pressure to step in. So just monitoring it here and bringing the stop down a little bit. I want to see it kind of start trickling out. ANRO. But yeah, I'm just involved. Rainy, RANI, ARTV, and now ANRO. Those are the ones I'm involved with at the moment. Just kicking back with those. REPL took me out on the pop, like right at the top on that pop towards 9. But it still looks good. REPL still looks good. Leftovers got taken out 9. It's kind of their risk level. VWAP was holding up on it. Still monitor that one.
All right, so don't tell Steve, but I bought a little bit of Oscar. And the reason for it is we're getting close to this VWAP right here is the VWAP from this recent high and go, right? So this big pop-up that we had. Remember, 24 is where I ultimately want this thing to get to or to get big. So this is a bit of a feeler position for this potential swing. You can see how this VWAP was resistance here. So I've taken...
I love it, dude.
Let's say 1/4 of the position that I want to get, just to see if we can get up to that VWAP and then we chop through and then break. I'll take another 1/4 and then, really get that other half of the position if we can get above that kind of 24 area. But don't tell Steve.
Yeah, I love that chart. I mean, that's perfect. Buy low, sell high. I mean, people are wonder like what you get newer traders, that buy high and try to sell high, buy high, sell low. It's like, why is this not working? Well, guys, you got to do when it doesn't feel right, when it feels a little scary, when it's selling off. That's a lot of trading is doing the uncomfortable things, having your levels. I mean, Josh says that a lot. Have your levels, define them, and buy low, sell high. If your equity curve's going in the wrong direction, just press the other button.
That's about
Switch
it.
Your buy and sell buttons. Switch your buy and sell buttons.
That's starting to see some strength. I'm starting to see some push higher, so I'll kind of get involved with that. And then, with that, I'm just gonna pieces, right? Add in little pieces as it goes. If we end up getting a pop up, then great. And just looking to see if this continues. And I actually took the OSCX, even though it's a liquid, but I just took this one because it's that double leverage. So if it got back to this high where Oscar is, that's 60% move, right? So I'm risking against just yesterday's low, basically. So really, really tiny risk for a large outside potential gain, and that's it. That's the only thing I care about.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I don't need to be right very often. If I'm risking, just do it points. If I'm risking, say, 3 points to make 20 points, risking 3 points to take 20 points, I'll do that over and over and over again all day long.
Yeah, rinse and repeat that over and over and over. Yeah. Traders PRAX. I mean, that's still looking fine. I mean, that does look like a decent bleed against the previous close. Maybe VWAP if you'd like to bring the risk down. PRAX again. This one's phase 3 trials up from 55 on Thursday to 177 now. So that one's just profit taking a bit. I'm curious about these seed oil plays like Coot. I didn't mention this, but Coot was on the backside hangover list. She was working out well on Thursday and Friday, and still heavy today against even 210. But this one was up a lot from the cents. I imagine she's going to stay heavy and keep working back down as the news there was just, that was kind of the Trump's tweet of the day, the seed oils.
The great cooking oil crash of 2025.
The cooking oil crash. Metals plays certainly have been profitable too since. Yeah, here's TMQ. Wow, TMQ's kind of breaking the support line 650. So, several of these, TMQ, AQMS, CRML. CRML, wow, that one dumped today from 23 to 19. So the metals and seed oils, that theme kind of looks heavy today. Just be mindful there.
So do you look at those news events and does it give you conviction to one side or the other, right? Because you just mentioned, okay, one is FDA phase 3, right? When that's the last thing that they have to do before sending it to the FDA for approval, right? It's a big deal, right? Generally speaking, if you get FDA, there's like a 70% chance if you pass phase 3 that they'll accept your drugs and you can sell your drugs and you can make money. So it's a big deal. And then the other one was some angry dude tweeted about cooking oils. So do you look at that and say the cooking oil one is probably way more likely to fade or do you just the charts?
Yeah, well, no, you're right. There's certainly news that's like I'm not stepping in front of that. Like I'll let them have day one, but still the hangover remains true across the board. I mean, it really does. Like even the phase 3, like today or on Prax, for instance, that 150 to 150 or so. That I'm not going to step in front of it, but still I'm going to be their backside to get involved when the longs that were involved in that ticker for that run up are going to start taking profits, and plus you can see with Prax, let me pull that chart up. Like there's just it's already died off. I mean that there's pretty much not a lot of buyers here stepping in. So let them have their run up to 200, and then I'll still fade it down. But again, the reputable news is going to keep it afloat at a certain level, right?
Right.
I guess so in my mind, the seed oils, it's like that's likely going back down to where it came from. But Prax, it's like you got to identify, certain levels where this is likely not going back down to 60 where it started, but it's likely will still profit take. The other ones, the seed oils, likely that those are going to just fade back on down.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking as well, is saying, okay, well, they're both probably have an equal likelihood of moving lower because, right, just people overreact to news. But with something like a angry dude yelling about cooking oils, I'm like, okay, those stocks, or even the ones that are up and then you read the news and it just doesn't make any sense, more about where you think it could go, like what the target on something like that would be versus
right,
the other side, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's there's certain news, as you progress, guys, on your journey, you'll recognize, there's certain news you don't want to really step in front of. Like even the earnings, I'm not gonna be jumping in front of good earnings. I'll wait and maybe not even trade those, just depending on. But yeah, guys, this Anro's curling back up. I put my adjusted stop over 1150, so she's popping back up there. We'll see if Anro takes me out, but was looking for a little bit of a fade there. She's bouncing off of 1050s right now. Like it to stay heavy there and start profit taking. Otherwise, I'll step out of the way. G-sit. Wow, that one put in like a double top, a little move right over the previous high day, and now just halted down.
Wow.
All right. REPL climbing up a little bit. ARTV, the hangover, still just a nice bleeder. Yeah, I was just leaving that on just to bleed. Rainy. Okay. Rainy's curling back up. I think it's right around my average right now, 214. 220 is the area I don't want that one to get back up to. So it's my adjusted stop. Would like it to. This morning we could see it topping out in the 220s. So that kind of provided a decent risk area, but the slow curl up. Now, Rainy actually did have even, I think, some kind of reputable news last week. Collaboration, licensing agreement, 60 million private placement, $1 billion collaboration. There was a lot going on there. So that one I didn't step in front of. It was like one of those cheap plays, but it's a 50-cent ticker up to 212 right now. But they had a ton of different news behind them.
Yeah, and the SPY just continuing to grind, right? I know it's not going to affect your plays too much, but it's going to have some aspect of whether or not people are really excited for, just to buy stuff, right? Or not. And in this case, it looks like people are getting real excited to buy stuff because it's just grinding higher, just
What
tick
pattern
after
do you
tick.
call this on the SPY?
I think I did a tweet and I said just figuring it out pattern. It's just trying to figure out what it wants to do. It has no idea currently.
Yeah,
Because,
zooming out here. Well, so this was man, ever since it's just been on a slow tear. Just what shorts
it's
just
funny because if you go back to 2018, it was 19, it was the same shit. Like we had a Trump administration and he wanted to do a bunch of tariffs and he was fighting with JPOW. And, I was saying the thing all through April saying this happened before. And then we had, I think it was 2019 was like the lowest volatility year on record because he had this huge sell off, and then it was just all straight up until COVID in a kind of a straight line. And then, of course, COVID hit, and the rest is history there. But yeah, we've seen this before where they come on, he shakes the trees and scares a bunch of people, and it gets everyone all up in arms, and there's a big sell off, and then everyone goes, okay, well, he's not going to destroy the world, so let's just continue to buy stocks and see what happens from there.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes left, guys. Let us know if there's any tickers you want us to look at. Again, I'm still monitoring the Prax. Even I just brought that up here, the 170s. It's one I may involve myself with. Smaller on the bleed side today. Coot still heavy against 2. I may involve myself there as well. I like the ones with very tight risk with clear upside potential. I mean, like the ones you were looking at. I mean, the risk is right there, and a lot of reward.
Yeah, and most of the things I'm looking at are just going with the SPY. Not a great day for the day trading side of things. It's just everything I'm looking at is grinding higher. But then I look down at my swing trading account. I'm like, okay, I'll be okay. That's a boring kind of market because my swing trades are doing just fantastic because it's just kind of the day for that.
So when's the next event, Mr. Nos? When we gonna do it again?
Hopefully soon. Hopefully somewhere a little closer to the action. I told him New York. Would be great. Probably easier for everyone to get there. Easier for him to get there, and
was there a good turnout over to the booth? Because I had to step.
Yeah, we actually
early.
so Charles Payne, who is the kind of the biggest guy I think on Fox Business, the huge following, like people were following around like they were cult members. He was up in that little center stage right by us that you saw there, and then we at the same time had our trading competition. And they were pissed because we were being so loud and there were so many people. Josh just like disappeared for 10 minutes and came back with somehow like 20 college kids. I guess there was some deal or something that they had with a local university that you could come to this event and it would count as part of your whatever. So you had all these guys studying finance and investing or whatever, and he like corralled like 20 of these college kids back, and we're giving away free shit. And when you're that young, anything free, right? So free $5,000 accounts to a lot of the people who did okay with it, and that could be game changing for you guys, right? Hopefully you pass the 5K count, start making a few bucks from it, and beer money on the weekend, or you hold it up. And then Josh was shoving his mic in people's faces and doing a nice shoutcast. It was super fun. So
that's great.
But yeah, that was, again, thanks for coming by with poor old Mitch suffering and hanging out with the folks. I know everyone appreciated not just having to listen to me rant for hours on end. So another voice is always great. Anything to leave the kids with?
Yeah, we've mentioned it before, guys. I mean, I know if you're trading the large caps, I know Nas mentioned like it's the speed limit's 35 right now. So just make sure you're not pushing 75 in the school zone. It's that can be tempting. We got to work against our nature oftentimes with trading. So just make sure we're doing the speed limit here, and then we're gonna. I love our conversation today. I think it was very valuable. Just listen to the market. Let the trades come to you. Focus on that, and you're going to get lucky over time. I mean, just take the edge, move on, embrace the risk, accept the results per usual.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for coming by. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. If Mitch is alive, he'll be back with us tomorrow. If not, I'll be here. So we're going to start at 9 again, just because Mitch cheats on us in the mornings if he is going to be here. But if not, again, I will talk to you guys then, and see you then.
Mr. Nelson, it was great being with you. Take care, traders.